Good morning guys, I hope we are well. In this lesson we're focusing on bearings, and I'm also going to show you how our previous work on angles and parallel lines links to our work on bearings. Okay, let's begin with a question. What is the bearing of the ship from the lighthouse? So this word in bearings questions, from, is really important. It means that the angle that we're measuring from where that lighthouse is. Okay, so pause the video if you want to think about it for yourself, or just leave it running if you just want to know the answer now. Okay, so remember what we said when we're thinking about bearings. We always measure from north, we always measure clockwise, and we always give three figures, so 3 digits in our answer. Okay, so we're measuring from the lighthouse, so we need to start here. We're looking at this part of my diagram. We start facing north, so I've drawn my north line already. Measuring clockwise, so I'm going around this way. And I give 3 figures. So if my angle is 70 degrees, how do I write 70 with 3 figures? So I'm going to call it 070, so it's 70 degrees. So this is my final answer. Okay, but what about if I change the question ever so slightly? So we've already worked out the bearing of the ship is 70 degrees from the lighthouse, but what about if I ask you what is the bearing of the lighthouse from the ship? So from the ship is very, very important. We're not measuring from the lighthouse anymore, we are measuring from the ship. That means we need to look at the ship as we are calculating this missing angle. So I'm going to give you a clue as to how to start a problem like this. Remember, when we're thinking about bearings, we always measure from north. So what I'm going to do, where this ship is, I'm going to add an extra line facing north, just like this. Alright, so let's see if we can fill in some missing angles on this diagram. First of all, can we see another angle of 70 degrees? Bear in mind that this line that I've labelled north and this line that I've labelled north, would we agree that these lines are parallel? They're both facing the same direction, they will never meet, therefore they are parallel lines. Remember from a couple of lessons ago, the angle facts we learned about parallel lines. We know that all the obtuse angles and all the acute angles are equal in parallel lines. Here we have an acute angle, which is 70 degrees. Do we see another acute angle in this diagram? Well, this angle here is acute, so this is 70 degrees. These are alternate angles, and they are equal. If you turn your head to the left, you will notice that it kind of looks like that Z shape. Alright, so remember what we said about bearings. We always measure facing north to begin with. We go clockwise and we give 3 figures. So the angle that we're interested in, if we start facing north, if we turn around clockwise until we're facing the lighthouse, we are interested in this massive angle going all around this way. The angle in this little gap is 70. Can we think, what would this angle be then? Okay, so where I'm moving my cursor, what would this angle be? Would we agree that it's a half turn on a straight line? What do we know about angles in a half turn on a straight line? Well, this angle here would be 180 degrees. So altogether we have 180 degrees plus 70 degrees, so my answer is 250 degrees. That is the bearing of the lighthouse from the ship. Okay, so we're going to have a bit of practice now. So if you're feeling confident, you can pause the video and try these questions for yourself. If you're not confident, you're more than welcome to leave the video running and just listen to me explain it. Okay, so first of all, this question, find the bearing of B from A. The language is very important. If we're measuring from A, we start at A, so we're looking at this angle here. So we're looking north, so we start facing north, and we go clockwise, so 64 degrees, but I don't just write 64. Remember in bearings you give 3 digits. So it's 064, so 64 degrees is my answer. Okay, but what about part B? So for this first image, I want the bearing of A from B. If I'm measuring from B, I'm now looking at B when I'm working out my missing angle. I'm going to draw my north line, and I remember bearings, I start facing north and I go clockwise until I'm facing A. So this angle here that I've drawn, so this turn is what I'm interested in. What do we know about acute angles in parallel lines? Well, they must be equal, right? So if this acute angle is 64 degrees, that means that this acute angle is 64 degrees. and I also have my half turn because it's on a straight line. So altogether I have 180 degrees plus 64 degrees, so that gives me 144 degrees as my answer to part B. Okay, next question. So I'm measuring the bearing of B from A, so I need to be looking at A. I'm facing north, I'm going clockwise until I face B. So the bearing of B from A in this question is just 151 degrees. Okay, that one's quite easy because it kind of just gives us the answer there. Okay, but what if we swap it around? So let's do part B for the second image. So the bearing of A from B. So this time I'm looking at B on my diagram. Okay, I need to face north. So I start facing north and I go clockwise until I'm facing A. So I need to find the value of this whole angle. It's nearly a full turn. It's going to be quite a large angle. Okay, so can I fill in these two missing angles? Well, what do we know about angles in parallel lines? Well, the obtuse angles must be equal. So this is 151 degrees. That means that this is also 151 degrees. And again, I have my half turn. So to get my final solution, I'm doing 180 plus 151. That will give me 231 as my answer to part B for the second diagram. Okay, so final question. The bearing of B from A. So I'm looking at A, facing north, turning clockwise until I face B. So that tells me that the bearing of B from A is 320 degrees. So again, they kind of give us that one already. Okay, so for part B, the bearing of A from B. So I'm looking at B this time. I'm going to add in my north line to help me. Okay, so what missing angles can I fill out on this diagram then? So remember, when we're thinking about bearings, we start facing north and we go clockwise until we're facing A. So this is the angle that I'm looking for. At the moment, I can't really get the angle yet. I've got a bit of work yet to do. Okay. However, if I draw an extra dotted line on my diagram, I know that this will be 180 degrees because it's a half turn. So if this whole big angle is 320 and this half turn is 180, what must this missing angle be? So think about it. So if I do 320 and take off that 180, that tells me that this obtuse angle is 140. What do I know about obtuse angles in parallel lines? Well, thinking back to a couple of lessons ago, they must be equal. If this is 140, this must be 140, and then that would be my solution, because this is the angle I'm trying to find. Okay, so for this lesson, I'm going to give you a choice, because I know some of you will be quite confident with this, and I know some of you might find that a little bit too tricky at this stage. So if you are happy with what we've just explained in this lesson and you want to give it a go for yourself, you're going to try option 1 on your worksheet. If that was a bit too tricky for you, what you're going to do, you're going to have a go at option 2. And so please get in contact if you need any help on Google Classroom or just by sending me an email. Thank you very much, guys.